Former President Trump and an election eve campaign event in Vandalia just wrapping up in the last hour. The former president was here to make a last-minute push to the polls for Republican U.S. Senate candidate J.D. Vance. We have team coverage of the former president's visit. Let's start with my co-anchor Adam Arrow, who has been there all night. Adam, you listened to the entirety of the speeches tonight. What was the former president trying to get across to voters?
Well, Megan, it was a bunch of different things. Number one, he came to promote Ohio Republican candidates up and down your ballot. Now, that includes Senate candidate J.D. Vance, who he is strongly supporting since the primary for that soon-to-be vacated Senate seat from outgoing Senator Rob Portman. He also discussed in an hour and 10-minute long speech thereabouts about his own tenure as president, and also about the investigations, including the one at Mar-a-Lago, his home, and the couple of impeachment proceedings as well. And he went after Democrats, and he made every move like he was about to announce that he was going to be running for president in 2024. But he just stopped short of that and instead said this.
Not to detract from tomorrow's very important, even critical election. I would say, in the strongest way, it's a country-saving election, specifically including the election of all the people that I'm going to name. I'm going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday, November 15th, at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida.
Now, to reiterate that, it'll be next Tuesday, November 15th, at his home in Mar-a-Lago, where he is making what he calls a big announcement. We can assume that will be whether or not he will decide to run for office in 2024. Now, the big reason he was out here tonight was to promote the candidacy of J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance himself got up and spoke to the crowd tonight. Here's a little of what he had to say.
But you know, we had a good chance. We had a fighting chance in my family because we had a lot of love and we had a lot of loyalty, and we had the United States of America and the American dream. It's time to rebuild that dream and make sure it's alive for our citizens. Am I right?
Now, everyone tonight reiterating the importance of getting out and voting, because many of these races, including that Senate race that J.D. Vance is in, is very close according to polling. Now, Bryn Caswell is joining us now. She has been out here with me as well today, speaking to folks that were in attendance, that came to watch this event. Bryn, what did they tell you?
Adam, a lot of them told me today they are not happy with the direction the state and the country is going in, and that's why they are heading to the polls tomorrow to vote for J.D. Vance.
I feel like our country was founded on faith and family and freedom, and a lot of those things I'm worried about we are losing. So I'm here to support J.D. Vance, and I sure hope he's our next senator from the great state of Ohio, hoping for a red wave tomorrow.
J.D. Vance spoke today on trying to rebuild the American dream if he gets elected. Many today tell me the economy, border control, and school safety are the biggest concerns on this year's ballot.
So why are you voting for J.D. Vance?
Just because he's for the Constitution and everything the rest of us believe. I just think the idea that he's for the rights of the parents and the schools. Once again, me being a teacher, that's important.
Now, many of the people I did speak to today came from all over the state of Ohio. There were thousands in attendance to see J.D. Vance and former President Trump. A lot of them have since cleared out, but a lot of them also told me they've already early voted, so hopefully polling locations tomorrow won't be as busy. Reporting live in Vandalia, Bryn Caswell, Dayton 24/7 Now News.
Bryn, thanks so much. A community healing event also held tonight protesting Trump's visit to Dayton. The Miami Valley abolitionists hosted the Love Trump's Hate event, hoping to provide a safe space to talk and receive resources. Now, we're told its goal was to help educate about mental health. Self-care bags were given out to help the homeless population here in Dayton. Organizers say they wanted to counter the former president's messages.
Honestly, the thing I hope people learn most is that community outreach is incredibly important, and the thought is that somebody else will always do it, but that's not true. That somebody else is you, and so if you can get involved in anything and feed your community or anything of the sorts, it's important to do that.
The Miami Valley abolitionists say we all need to look out for one another right now. Now, Tim Ryan visited Akron earlier today, then made a stop in Youngstown as he continues to build up support ahead of tomorrow's midterms. Now, he was hitting on more jobs and better paying jobs for the working class. Ryan says we have a broken economic system where Republicans and Democrats have sold out to corporate interests that have shifted jobs overseas. He also didn't mince words when talking about his opponent, J.D. Vance, and what he thinks of the current state of politics.
We are at a moment, at a crossroads, where either the extremists are going to continue to assert themselves into the body politic of the United States of America, or we stop them, okay? That's what tomorrow is all about.
Ryan is within shouting distance of Vance ahead of tomorrow's vote. And Governor Mike DeWine holding his own election party at Young's Jersey Dairy ahead of tomorrow's midterms. He's going to be facing off with Democratic candidate Nan Whaley in Ohio's gubernatorial election. Now, DeWine spoke about how he will continue to work for the public's vote even right before the polls open up tomorrow.
We were in Cleveland, spent a good part of today in Cleveland. Yesterday we were mostly in Dayton and Cincinnati, so we're traveling all over the state. I'll still be tomorrow morning out at the polls at 6:30 shaking some hands. I think people expect you to work for their vote, and that's what we intend to do.
The latest poll numbers have Governor DeWine ahead of Whaley. And tomorrow, the Greater Dayton RTA is going to provide free rides to the polls. These free rides apply to both RTA's fixed route and paratransit services. Riders are encouraged to use the transit app to find the bus stop closest to their polling place. The RTA has been providing free rides for all elections since 2018. Well, the White House says Americans should feel safe going to the polls tomorrow. Lydia Bice is at the Now Desk. So what's being done to protect election integrity here?
Yeah, Megan, the Biden administration was briefed by law enforcement ahead of midterms on Tuesday. The White House press secretary says the administration has taken the issue of threats to the safety of voters and election officials seriously from day one, and that no specific credible threats against voters have been identified.
So, Lydia, what security measures are in place for tomorrow's election then?
Well, the federal government has been working alongside state and local election officials and law enforcement to take the necessary steps to keep people safe. The press secretary says President Biden will continue to condemn political violence. He believes other leaders of both parties have a responsibility to communicate that as well.
Lydia, thanks. And our full team of reporters and political experts are going to be giving you context of everything that takes place on election night and beyond. That includes former Ohio Republican Governor and UD professor Bob Taft. Our coverage will kick off tomorrow morning and then continue throughout the night here on ABC 22 and also over on Fox 45. And we've been focusing on the upcoming election for months now. We've compiled all of our stories in one place for you on our website. That's Dayton247now.com. To see it all, just take out your phone and scan the QR code there on your screen. That's going to take you right to the Beyond the Podium section of our website where you can find all the information you need before Tuesday's big election. And the weather often impacting election turnout, so all eyes tonight are on what we can expect in the morning because a lot of people are probably going to be standing outside in some lines. Yeah. Natalie.
Need a coat in the morning if you're going to be out there early, but the good news is that the afternoon is shaping up beautifully. Right now we are in the 40s for most of us, 45 in Greenville. We have 43 in Wapakoneta, 45 in Bellefontaine right now. So a little chilly, and we'll continue to see temperatures fall through the overnight hours. In fact, compared to this time yesterday, we are sitting much colder, 10 degrees colder in Dayton, 10 degrees colder in Wilmington as well. So heading out to the polls early tomorrow morning, we're tracking upper 30s, mostly cloudy sky. We do manage to get back up into the upper 50s, close to 60 degrees. By the afternoon with that sunshine. So feeling good by later into the day. No rain in the forecast, though. We could use some. And then eventually we have some much colder air heading its way in. I'll let you know how cold we'll get coming up.
Natalie, thanks. One person is in police custody tonight following a potential threat to the University of Dayton. We're told they posted a message to social media this morning. The university then issued a statement following that incident saying, quote, the safety of our community is our first priority, and our university law enforcement officers and our partner agencies take these threats seriously and investigate them immediately and thoroughly. We're told a criminal investigation is now underway. Federal prosecutors just unsealing charges against several Haitian gang leaders. One of those groups is accused of kidnapping 17 people from an Ohio-based missionary group. The members of the Christian Aid Ministries were abducted back in October 2021. The group was held hostage for 2 months until they escaped. The group included 5 children, one as young as 8 months old at the time of that kidnapping. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announcing a $1 million reward for information leading to the arrest or convictions of any of those gang leaders. We're learning more tonight about a shooting that happened Friday in broad daylight downtown. It happened around 3:30 near East 3rd and North Jefferson Streets. We're told a 20-year-old woman was shot there and then rushed to Miami Valley Hospital. She is expected to be okay. Investigators are now asking anyone with information to call the Dayton Police Department at 937-333-1232, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 937-222-STOP if you would like to remain anonymous. A North Carolina man is now locked up in the Clark County Jail tonight, accused of killing his own father. We're told 41-year-old Benjamin Vota shot 64-year-old Kevin Vota. Now, he was arrested this morning on a murder charge. That case is still under investigation. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost also filing a lawsuit against Family Dollar. The suit accuses the discount chain of advertising goods at one price on shelves and charging another price, usually higher, at the register. This comes just days after his office also sued Dollar General for the same issue. Yost's lawsuit cites violations of Ohio's Consumer Sales Practices Act. He says that Family Dollar listed false prices on items and engaged in bait advertising.
We're looking for not just reimbursement, but we want a court order to make them stop doing this and to put adequate controls in place so that the price that you see on the shelf is the price that they charge at the register. And if there is a mistake, and come on, it's human nature to make mistakes. There will be a few. They need to have a way to give a refund.
Ohioans who suspect unfair business practices should reach out to the Attorney General's office at ohioprotects.org. Well, the predictions are in ahead of tomorrow's elections. The party expected to be favored on the ballots.
And former President Trump flying into Vandalia tonight for a election eve campaign rally. He didn't announce he's running in 2024 yet, but he did have a lot of other things to say. We'll take a look coming up.
Plus, I'm tracking a cold blast by later this week. I'll let you know how cold we'll get. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Kettering Hill Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Former President Donald Trump making a stop in the Miami Valley ahead of tomorrow's midterm elections. The president also teasing a major announcement that should come within days. My co-anchor Adam Arrow was there for the entirety of his announcement. And Adam, what's he telling everyone to be on the lookout for?
Well, be on the lookout for next week when he makes that big announcement, as he called it, Megan. He alluded to it throughout, and although he did not make that announcement that some were thinking he would, that he's going to run in 2024, his speech tonight, which lasted more than an hour, seemed like a campaign speech. He attacked Democrats, specifically President Biden and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. He went after what he called their agenda as well. And he also lobbied for voters to go out and support Ohio Republicans. Now, here is just a little bit of what he had to say tonight. Take a listen.
But the energy costs in this country are skyrocketing like nobody's ever seen before. And so are the food costs, and so is every other cost, and you're paying a big price. They're strangling Ohio families with soaring prices and crippling inflation, costing a typical American household nearly $800 to $1,000.
Now, as he got to the end of that speech, he did not, as you mentioned, Megan, make that announcement that he is, in fact, running for the presidential office again in 2024. But he did say he has a big announcement coming at Mar-a-Lago a week from tonight. That's at his home in Mar-a-Lago, so we will have to wait and see what exactly that big announcement is. Back to you in the studio.
Well, some high clouds making their way into the Miami Valley this evening. This is something we'll be looking out for as we head overnight, because we do have that total lunar eclipse. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a bit, but we will have some of those high cirrus clouds around through the overnight hours starting off the day tomorrow too. As far as what we're expecting temperature wise, we'll wake up lower 40s. I'm thinking even some upper 30s across the board, but we'll start to see those clouds clear out by the afternoon. Back up to around 60 degrees. Very pleasant day for our Tuesday. Starting off our day on Wednesday, a little chillier back into the 30s, but Wednesday afternoon, it gets warm. We'll continue to see those temperatures climb back up into the upper 60s, right around 70 degrees, so feeling really nice. We'll see those 70s on Wednesday. We have another day of 70s on the way too, but eventually we're talking about a cold blast of air. I'm going to talk about how cold we'll get coming up here in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. Recent polling numbers indicate the GOP might have a good night tomorrow. There's even talk of a red wave. Now, according to Politico, here's how we'll know if that happens. It would be a so-so night for the GOP if Democrats lose fewer than 20 seats. Losses between 20 and 30 would be a normal midterm. Losing 30 to 40 would be a big hit, but not a catastrophe. And any more than 40 would constitute a red wave. GOP House Leader Kevin McCarthy laying out his expectation.
I think anywhere over 20 is a red wave. And what's interesting is think about where we're sitting right now. Think about the quality of the candidates that have been recruited from Rhode Island to Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut. These are just places I've been traveling recently. From Ohio, from Oregon, from Washington, Nevada, California. I see more competitive races than I've seen at any given time.
Now, the modern average loss for a president is about 27 House seats. The 3 of the last 4 presidents did much worse in their first midterms. Well, it's been less than a month since Elon Musk took full control of Twitter, and he's still wrestling with how to moderate the platform's content. Russian state media figures demanding Twitter remove labels on their profiles designating them as state propaganda. They're citing the company's new free speech approach. Chinese state actors are pushing for the same treatment. U.S. lawmakers want to know what Musk intends to do about misinformation.
To me, the solutions are these, and it is, again, for all of these platforms. Number one, do something about misinformation. They can't shield themselves when they're actually making money off of spreading misinformation about elections.
Now this, as high-profile users are using their blue check status to impersonate Musk. They've been retweeting tweets supporting Democratic candidates as Musk calls for independents to vote Republican. Twitter began banning those accounts, citing its policies against impersonation. As Southwest Floridians continue to recover from Hurricane Ian last month, another part of the state is now under a hurricane watch. Subtropical storm Nicole is getting stronger and is expected to become a Category 1 hurricane later this week. Hurricane conditions are possible in parts of the northwestern Bahamas and east central Florida starting Wednesday. That's according to the National Hurricane Center. Parts of Florida and Georgia are also under storm surge watch. We're told rainfall totals could be between 2 and 4 inches. The last time a hurricane hit the U.S. in November was Hurricane Kate back in 1985. And a live look now from our Kettering Health Skycam tonight. A quiet day here in the Miami Valley, but changes are coming. Natalie is live out on our exclusive Watson's Weather Patio, tracking them all. Natalie.
Yeah, a little chilly out here, but we have some mild weather before we get those big changes to head their way in. So we've been enjoying some 60s and 70s for a while now. This is what we're talking about over these next couple of days. So we get up to 60 tomorrow, so still on the nice side, technically above normal for this time of the year. 70s Wednesday, Thursday, but then notice Saturday, that's when we see our temperatures just take a nosedive back down to 40 only for our high then. So as far as what we're expecting temperature wise in the longer term, it does look like a below normal temperature trend, not just this weekend, but continuing into much of next week too. It's going to be feeling like winter. So coming up, I will have a look at that 7-day and what we're expecting for the rest of this week.
Natalie, thanks. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi sharing the moments after she found out about her husband's attack, what she says were her initial thoughts. And the latest from the Oath Keepers trial, what the group's leader's testimony is revealing about the day of the insurrection. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. The leader of the far-right group, the Oath Keepers, says that they had no plans to attack the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Stuart Rhodes took the stand for a second day, testifying that he had no idea his followers were going to join the mob to storm the Capitol. His defense focuses on convincing then-President Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act, not planning a riot. Prosecutors will get a chance to question Rhodes this week. They've been spent weeks now laying out evidence showing Rhodes and the Oath Keepers discussing possible violence and the need to keep President Biden out of the White House at all costs. Well, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi recalling the moment that she learned her husband had been attacked in their San Francisco home. She says Capitol Police woke her in Washington, D.C. to relay the news.
And they said, we have to come in to talk to you. And I'm thinking, my children, my grandchildren. I never thought it would be Paul because, I knew he wouldn't be out and about, shall we say. And so they came in at that time. We didn't even know where he was.
Paul Pelosi suffered a skull fracture and injuries to his arms and hands when police say David DePape broke into the Pelosi's home and beat him with a hammer. He was reportedly looking for the speaker at the time. DePape faces state and federal charges, including attempted murder. A Texas judge has sealed the autopsy reports of those killed in the May mass shooting at Uvalde Elementary School. The district judge ordered the records be given to the local district attorney. The judge says the records will help in the investigation and potential prosecution. Before they were sealed, though, prosecutors argue those autopsies could contain important information that they need to preserve until the investigation is complete. There's no word on how long the records will be sealed. And Dayton Flyers basketball back in action tonight. How they looked in their first game of the season against the Lindenwood Lions. That's coming up. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Well, today marked the start of college basketball across the college basketball season across the country. It was a busy day, including for several Miami Valley teams. Matt Digby was at the University of Dayton Arena for the Flyers men's basketball season opener.
After months of waiting, University of Dayton men's basketball opening the 2022-23 campaign on Monday night, and they do so with a 73-46 win over a Lindenwood Lions team that is playing its very first season of Division I basketball. This was a game where the Flyers got off to a very hot start. In case in point, the very first basket of the season coming on a three-pointer from Mongolian Mike Sharafjams, the first Mongolian to earn a Division I athletic scholarship. He would finish the day with 10 points, one of 5 Flyers to reach double figures. Now, it wasn't a complete dominating performance from start to finish, but especially in the second half, they were able to pull away in the final minutes, showing why they are the heavy favorite to win the Atlantic 10 title.
I thought the first 12 minutes we were really, really good defensively. The stamina to be able to put together 40 minutes, I think.